Hi everybody, this is Leo from Daddy's Game Time, and we're here at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo at Polycon 2015, and I'm here with Bob. Bob, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to have you guys here, and look forward to inviting more people to come.
Excellent. So you're in a way a spokesperson for events like this. You mentioned before we started rolling camera that you have sons. Can you tell
Actually,
us
I had 5 children, all of which play games, and I have a 13-year-old grandson who also plays games. In fact, I'm going to go see him this next week. And we've been involved in Polycon since 1998. It's a local game convention put on by the students of Cal Poly, so it's a very homespun group, a lot of great loyalty, a lot of patronage, especially from the alumni of the school, and it provides a great outlet for the students. It gives them a chance to game with each other, play games that are interactive, so it's good socially, and it also gives them a little something to do, you know. And that's one thing that's been really great about the games, is it gives the students something to do, and it also gives them a learning opportunity because they learn how to run a convention, how to deal with a large group, how to manage funds and conventions, so it's real good for that too, besides the great fun of all the games.
Well, that's great. Yeah, being a former university student myself, I understand what it's like to need that release, especially after the stressful events that one sometimes encounters during their studies. So is that something that you benefited from while you were starting gaming?
Actually, I started gaming. I've been doing this for a long while, since 1980, but I was 30 years old at the time. And but a friend of mine, actually a roommate I had living with me, was a student, and that's what he did, was gaming, and got a couple of us, rest of us, involved in it.
Excellent.
And that's how I started with it. But I found it's a great thing because, you know, it's not something you can do partying. It's not party games. This is, you know, thinking games. Figure out, you know, strategies and logistics and tactics. So it challenges your mind and helps you develop.
That's very true. Very true. So what about some of the first games that you started with? What about them got you into this lifestyle, if it is a lifestyle? What about it seduced you into doing these games, or in assisting and helping with conventions like this for so many years?
All right. Well, I would say the challenge. Because, you know, some of the games are very difficult. Some of the games are difficult to master. Some of the games are difficult to succeed in. There are cooperative games, and there are also specific, you know, you're challenging other players trying to win a game, more like a standard, what people would think of board game or something. There's a winner game. And as far as what got me and kept me going with it is that challenge, and also the fun, because I do mainly what's called role-playing games, and in role-playing games you take on a different persona, and it gives you the place and the space to do that, because in our lives we all have the person we are, but in a role-playing game you get to be somebody else, and you get to act outside of yourself. And so it's really interesting to explore other ways of acting and other ways of interacting with people.
Oh, that's great. I'm new to this. I've never seen gaming in that light before. This is very intriguing to me, actually. So what about it is it that you're role playing? Are you really acting as you go through these games, or is it just in your mind? How do you see it?
Well, it's basically you're given a part as an actor. And you have, like in a role-playing game, you're usually given a character sheet, which it defines who you are, how strong you are, how smart you are, that kind of things. What you know, what you don't know, information. And so as an actor, usually you have lines, but this is ad-libbing. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to, okay, what could I do if I was this person? Well, how can I make things come out the way I think they should? And in role-playing games, you're usually working together for a common goal. Right. So how can I interact with these others who have other specialties and succeed at our goal? And so it's real good for that. It's real good for diversity, because you get to deal with other people being other people. Okay, being an alien, being another race, being from a different ethnic background.
Can you tell us what one of your favorite characters is, and what about him is it that you love?
Favorite characters. Well, the latest one, I got to play a Hispanic female fighter pilot. And I just had a gas because it was just so different. Not something I would ever do. And so I got to pretend I was something entirely that I'm not. And
what
I got
was that like?
Huh? Oh, it was fun.
Like? Yeah.
I was a really good pilot. So that was a lot of fun. And I had a navigator gunner who was really a good gunner. So we really had a lot of fun with the game, and succeeded helping our group win. It was sort of a Star Wars type scenario.
Oh,
so
everybody loves Star Wars.
Yeah, so it was like a Star Wars scenario, and we had fighters, and we had a big destroyer and cruiser.
Oh, that sounds so cool. It makes me want to play that. What game was it from?
That was actually a game called 7th Sea, which is normally a swashbuckling, romantic swashbuckling type genre built in the 17th century. But some friends of mine have taken it and made it into a space opera game. Because you think about it, Star Wars was a swashbuckling genre. You're bigger than life, you're doing dangerous, exciting things constantly. And there's always the romance and the excitement and all of that going on in the game. So it works well for it.
Oh, that's great. That sounds so cool. I'm pretty new to all of this world of gaming, of this style of gaming. So I didn't realize that there was a lot of role playing, like actual physical role playing, where you get into the character and you act out as the character. That's really interesting. It sounds really cool. I really want to try it out.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this game that you transformed into a sort of Star Wars-esque style. What are other highlights throughout the years, personally, your personal highlights in gaming?
Okay, well, let's see. Well, this evening I'm going to be playing in a game called Bash, UE Ultra Edition. It is a friend of mine actually designed and wrote the game and is here promoting it as a dealer. And that game is a superhero game. So we're going to play superheroes, and tonight we're going to play what's called a street level superhero.
Sounds fun.
And the last time I played in his game, we played the Guardians of the Galaxy. We played some of the Guardians and also some of the Avengers were played by the players.
Who's your favorite Avenger?
Boy, Avenger. I like Iron Man just because he's just so out there.
That's right.
He's just his own thing. And
Yeah,
he's
that's
all
true.
about Iron Man.
He definitely stands out, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Great. So if I wanted to get into this, about how much time would you say I would have to invest in a game? If I was just going to play one night with some friends, would I be able to learn it during that session? And how much time would I have to invest into that session of playing?
Well, if you're playing, you know, it's like any kind of games. If you're playing a card game or a board game, you know, you can expect 30 minutes for a board game. Oh, maybe 45 to 3 or 4 hours. You know, especially if you play something like Monopoly or something, or Risk or some other game that's rather involved. And then role-playing games typically run anywhere 4 to 6 hours
Yes.
per session. And you can have a whole campaign where you could do it weekly and
Oh,
have
wow.
a game. Yeah, or you can do like we do here at a convention. We have what's called a one-shot game. That game is just for that time period, and that's all the time you have to
Now,
invest.
each game, does it have, for example, if you're watching a movie, it has Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, beginning, middle, end. Is
Some
each
games
game
are run
structured
that
like
way.
that?
Some games are structured real time. Some games are structured very much this and this and this and this happens, and you've got to eat, you've got to sleep, you've got to, you know, get things, you've got to buy things. Some games are very much that way. Other games, the games I prefer are games that are based on the more theatrical acts and scenes and story arcs.
Great. That sounds so great. Well, Bob, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you.
Do you have any shout outs or hellos that you want to give to anybody out there that might be watching online?
Yeah, I'll say hi to my youngest daughter, Jacinda. She couldn't be here today. She wanted to be, and she's down in San Diego.
All right. Well, hello, Jacinda. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yes.
And don't forget, for the rest of our audience as well, visit www.daddysgametime.com and check out all our content.